Good morning, guys. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. This morning, I'm going to be reacting to Elden Ring story trailer is fascinating by VaatiVidya. Yes, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is part of the JP Spectre N7 Elden Ring requests. And remember, if you want to check out my previous reactions to other Elden Ring content, the playlist card will be at the top. Just click on it to be able to access them. If you want to check out the original video as well as VaatiVidya YouTube channel, the links are in the description below. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
Every game by From Software starts with a cinematic trailer, and this is surely Elden Ring's.
It happened an age ago.
She's talking about the shattering of the Elden Ring. An entire age has passed since then.
But when I recall, I see it true.
This character, with 4 arms and this brittle, pale skin, was a witness.
On a night of wintry fog.
In a shot that's surely inspired by Lord of the Rings, 4 shrouded riders flee the scene. And if you played the network test, you might have even faced one of them. At night, on a bridge, this exact same shrouded horse and rider can be found and fought.
You guys can kill the horseman that killed Godwin the Golden? Okay. Wow, that's simple, huh? That easy. Alright.
The rune of death was stolen.
But here is where things get interesting. So runes are letters of a runic alphabet, and in fantasy, you know, they're often markings of great power.
Are these markings tangible? Can you actually hold the Elden Ring? Because I've seen what seems to be the Elden Ring, like many rings and then some sort of like light that cuts in the middle. I'm not entirely sure whether is it something that is tangible? Can you touch it in your hands? Can you hold it in your hands? Or is it just some sort of energy? You know? Yeah, I just need to know about that. Because how is it possible that these 4 horsemen, or I don't know how many horsemen there are, you know, stole the rune of death? How do you steal it?
The Elden Ring is actually made up of runes. Its tiniest pieces are a currency, like souls, but its larger shards are called great runes, and they are far more significant. Together, these great runes of the Elden Ring spell out a golden order for the world. Japanese descriptions clarify that it's a golden law. It's a logic for life to follow. Now, this golden order is broken to its core, and it all began when the rune of death was stolen. So what specifically was the rune of death, and why was its theft important enough to spark the shattering?
Okay, so you could say that the Elden Ring is like a book of laws, you know? And whoever these people are, they opened that book, they tore out a page from that book that governs death, and thus the whole world went into calamity at that very moment when they stole the rune of death. Okay. Hopefully that's how I'm understanding it is correct. Sorry, guys.
Well, I think items in the network test actually hold the clue. In Elden Ring, there's an item called a holy pot. It's something you can peg at undead enemies to prevent them from rising after death. It reads, "Incantations of the Golden Order, or Golden Law, have been stored inside. The Golden Law has no mercy for those who trespass beyond life's bounds." And its Japanese description clarifies that the Golden Law does not permit the logic to live in death.
So with what's her name again? Queen Marika. Queen Marika is a god. She is not how should I say? She's not under the laws of the Elden Ring. You know, she won't die, you know, like everybody else. So the Elden Ring's laws don't apply to her or her demigod children, right? But now, since the rune of death has been stolen, why is it possible to kill the children of Marika? You know, how is that possible? because they're already not affected by the Elden Ring's laws. So why is it possible now that they can die from the rune of death? Yeah, I'm a bit confused there, guys. Sorry if I'm confusing you. I'm still also just trying to understand. Okay.
With the rune of death stolen from the Elden Ring, nothing is keeping the dead in their graves anymore. That law doesn't bind undeath. Proof of this is in so much of the present game. Spirits are found all throughout the lands between, skeletons stand up from their graves. Even you, the Tarnished, you're called ye dead who yet live.
Yes, the first time I saw people playing the game, I actually thought you guys were playing in the afterlife, because we saw dead bodies rising from the dead, skeletal creatures rising from the dead like that, and we also saw spirits walking around. So I thought you guys were actually in the afterlife of some sort, but now I can see that this is actually like the living world, just that it is shattered because the rune of death has been taken away, so people don't actually really die. They still roam around. They will never find rest, So yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting to see this happen.
In response to this lawless world, a group has even risen called the Golden Order Fundamentalists. They're people who try to enforce the old laws of the Elden Ring. One of their spells is Litany of Proper Death. It's an incantation that prevents undead enemies from coming back to life. So this golden law can still be applied, it's just not a universal truth anymore. While the Elden Ring was still whole and its laws were intact, the lands between were ruled by Queen Marika, the Eternal. Her being eternal suggests that the Elden Ring wasn't applying death to the Queen or her demigod children.
You see, it wasn't applying death to her and her demigod children. But now that the rune of death has been stolen, it is applying that rule to her and her children. However, we also saw Godwyn the Golden, his eyes coming back to life. It seemed like that's what was happening. I'm not entirely sure. So I'm not entirely sure, is he dead or is he undead? But anyways.
Now that seems set to change, because the rune of death has been stolen.
And the demigods began to fall.
Surely it's no coincidence that only now death is being served to Marika's demigod children.
Yes, it's been served to them, but are they dead? Are they really dead? Because death doesn't exist anymore, because it's been taken away from the Elden Ring. So
Thief holds the rune of death, and it's being used.
Starting with Godwyn the Golden.
In Dark Souls, all of Gwyn's children start with the same name prefix, Gwendolyn, Guinevere, so on. Just so, all of Queen Marika's children appear to have names that start with the god prefix. So far we know of two others. There's Godric, a demigod boss at the end of Stormvale Castle, Godfrey, who we haven't seen yet, but who ruled over
I've seen him
for his own age, and now there's Godwyn the Golden. A shadow looms over Godwyn, and it kind of looks like a person holding a large weapon. When they retreat, they take the light with them, and in the darkness, emerging from the strangely shaped wound on his back, this writhing force under his skin worms its way around their body and towards their eyes. With this, Godwyn seems to live again after death. As we mentioned earlier, undeath is possible now, though we have no idea who he serves. And while all of this is going on,
Queen Marika was driven to the brink.
But she doesn't seem to have been killed, yet. We, as Tarnished, are even able to resurrect at her statues, which to me suggests that she's still a force in the world, and that she has an affection, or at least a use, for the Tarnished. In the scene to follow, her crown is set upon an empty throne. I say it's hers because this main throne is surrounded and faced by 5, maybe 6 other smaller thrones. These likely belong to each of her demigod children. But her throne itself is embossed with countless depictions of the Erd Tree. And we need to mention the Erd Tree briefly because it is a symbol of Queen Marika's power, way more than the Elden Ring is, in my opinion. The age before the Shattering is called the Age of the Erd Tree. After all, it's not called the Age of the Elden Ring. The Elden Ring is at the source of the Erd Tree's power, and it's the Erd Tree and Marika's family that seems to direct that power, delivering golden grace to certain folk in the lands between and spurning others. But again, we talk about that more in a different video. This scene is clearly meant to symbolize an absence of that power now that the Shattering War has begun, and the last to leave this throne room is Margit, the Fell Omen. This is clearly him. He's the main boss in Elden Ring's network test, he's the guardian of Stormvale Castle, and now, perhaps, he's also a servant of Marika's royal family. The Elden Ring Twitter revealed that the curse marks he bore from birth were another ominous sign for the royal family, so this proves that he was close to them, and it explains his name. Margit was a fell omen for Marika's royal family. He was a sign of the terrible things to come.
The shattering ensued, a war that wrought only darkness. The Elden Ring was broken. But by whom? And why?
So whoever broke the Elden Ring hasn't publicly revealed themselves, even now. They might not have even made a play for its power. It follows then that they're perfectly happy to just watch chaos unfold.
And I also don't know, who stole the Elden Ring and why did they... Oh, well, not the Elden Ring, but why did they steal the Rune of Death and why did they allow all of this to happen? I've been watching the gameplay, but I never really got to that point yet where I would know this information. So yeah, I would also want to know.
The Great Rune of Death is just one part of the puzzle, remember? Imagine how many other laws have been thrown into disarray. Now, these estranged demigods hold other great runes, and they're warring amongst each other, so why interfere?
What could the demigods ever hope to win by warring?
This scene is so incredible, the absolute scale of it. Under the shadow of a very sad-looking Erd tree is a fortress that has statues of tree sentinels, which is this boss from the network test. Besieging this castle is a force that would be familiar to you if you played the network test. These soldiers and giants are all seen throughout Limgrave, and the lion heraldry on these soldiers marks them as warriors of Godric, one of Marika's demigod children, and the ruler of Stormvale Castle. He's clearly waging a war here against a city of the Erd Tree, which is surely a place that would have been his former home. According to the Elden Ring Twitter, Godric was born a weakling child, and he coveted the strength of his kin. His kingdom is still at war long past the Shattering, and he clings to his ruined legacy, the ruler of a husk wrung dry by war. Clearly, he wields a lot of power, but that power is waning. Godric's claim as the rightful Golden King is not wholly uncontested. There are those who plot to see his crown pass into more worthy hands. So even after the Shattering, powerful individuals still remain, like these two.
The Conqueror of the Stars, General Radar.
When they say Conqueror of the Stars, do they mean that literally or just figuratively? I just don't understand that part. But anyways, because I know he controls gravity, if not mistaken. That's how he's able to keep his horse between his legs like that. It was kind of weird seeing him fight, honestly, with that horse. But anyways, so I'm thinking maybe that's what they mean, like he just has this powerful gravitational magic, and maybe that's why they're calling him Conqueror of the Stars. And then of course you have Melania, who is the goddess of rot, because she has the scarlet rot, So yeah, I think that's how it's meant. Yeah.
And the blade of Mikkel and Melania the Seventh.
First thing here, very important, General Radahn has a goddamn horse between his legs. Did you notice that? That is one sad horse. Lucky for the horse, I guess, Radahn appears to have power over gravity. When you cast spells in Elden Ring, the class of spell is actually revealed by a symbol that pops up, and the symbol for gravitational sorcery is revealed here. And look, it's the exact same symbol that is embossed onto his blades.
Gravitational sorcery. You can even see that insignia or rune or whatever it is, you know, it kind of looks like a planet at the center, and then you just see what is it, like electromagnetic waves coming out of it, permeating out of it, you know, just encircling that planet in the middle. So yeah, that's interesting. That's also interesting to see. All right.
The purple glow between his blades is even the same purple that gravitational sorcery gets. For example, just look at the meteorite spell. The meteorite item description reads, "Meteorites held the same import as stars," and Radahn is clearly capable of channeling that cosmic power. Remember the first trailer we ever saw?
That which commanded the stars.
The Elden Ring commanded the stars, and General Radahn conquered them. I guess that would make him a warrior of the Elden Ring, but we can't be sure yet. Stars are so important to Elden Ring's lore, and in another video we'll talk about the age of cosmic power that came before the age of the Erd Tree, but for now, just know that this age did exist long ago, before the Elden Ring commanded the stars. Anyway, back to the Shattering.
These two were the mightiest to remain, and locked horns in combat.
He hacks off Melania's prosthetic arm, but she snatches the blade that was attached to that arm out of thin air and uses her own body weight to force it deeper into Radahn's flesh. While doing this, I notice she's muttering something. An incantation, maybe? I do think it's Melania who summons this orange lotus that snakes in from behind her, envelops her, and appears to teleport her away, perhaps.
I think she's saying, "You will know true horror." Oh gosh, I love it when she says that.
But there would be no victor.
We get to fight Melania later on, so obviously she survives this encounter, but I'm not so sure that Radahn does.
Oh yeah, he does survive. Well, he's gone mad. I think maybe because the Scarlet Rot has also affected him. Yeah, but he's still there. And besides, he can't die either, because, you know, the rune of death has been taken away, so no one can die. They're just here. Yeah.
While the dialogue implies that neither of them loses this fight, remember in the first trailer we saw Radahn get struck by this Lance Knight on horseback, and then later we see him standing with life energy sort of pouring out of him. So maybe there's more to this cutscene that we haven't yet seen, but for now, here's the finale.
And so, we inhabit a fractured world.
This character is the storyteller. Wait, that's my job. Anyway, on her right is a projection of herself. It speaks at the same moment she does.
Isn't she also a demigod? I'm sure she is one of the demigods. I just can't remember her name. But yeah, she's one of the demigods.
It's a mirror image that shares her right eye. And what's fascinating about this is that Melina, our maiden, also has a closed eye with a marking. Some people have pointed out that this marking is on Melina's left eye, whereas this storyteller has the marking on her right eye. But remember, the Melina we see is an apparition. She's a spirit. She appears out of a blue ghostly form, which means that she might actually be closer to this phantom storyteller rather than the real one. Therefore, the marking on the real Melina might have actually been on the right side, just like it is for the storyteller, if that makes sense. Anyway, her saying that the world has been fractured in this scene is likely not a coincidence, you know. Characters like Melina and this storyteller are stuck in a sort of limbo between life and death. They are fractured, they have spirit versions of themselves.
Awaiting the arrival of the Elden Lord. Unless, of course, thou shouldst take the crown.
The last thing the storyteller suggests is that we might take the crown and the title of the Elden Lord. Now, I have 2 upcoming lore videos that talk about Melina's eye marking and what the title of Elden Lord means, and so much more. The lore of Elden Ring is so fascinating. Look at the mind map I've made. There's already so much here to discuss and understand, so please do subscribe because I can't wait to share it with you. If you're a $3 patron, keep an eye out. I'll be uploading these lore videos in early access very soon. So if that's something you'd like to see early, consider becoming a patron. But if not, subscribe, because these videos should be edited and available for everyone in a couple of weeks. I'll see you then. I'm gonna go sleep now.
Okay guys, that's it with Elden Ring story trailer is fascinating by VaatiVidya. Yes. Hopefully I'm pronouncing the YouTube channel correctly. VaatiVidya. Yes. I'm still confused. I am still confused. Yes, I understand that the Rune of Death has been taken, but I still don't understand how is it that the gods and the demigods are affected by that reality, that the Rune of Death has been taken away from the Elden Ring. You know, why is it that when you take that away, does it start to affect the gods and demigods? Because it never affected them before. You know, they were never affected by death because they were eternal. And I don't know if any of the other Elden Ring golden laws can affect them either. I'm not sure about that, but you know, I still don't understand how is that possible, that you know they're capable of dying because the Rune of Death has been taken away, and after that they'll still come back to life because you know death doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, I'm still a bit confused about that part, but everything else seemed to be understandable. I think I need to watch this video maybe multiple times just to fully understand everything. But yeah, this was interesting. This was really interesting to also find out that the Elden Ring was like the universal truth. It was like a book, a constitution that everything and everyone on the planet is governed by, or in the lands between is governed by. And if you take out a page or a rune from this Elden Ring structure, you know, then the entire thing collapses. And yeah, that is also something that's interesting to find out about. And why is it that the demigods took the other pieces of the Elden Ring? Why did they take them? Why didn't they just leave it and try to find whoever stole the Rune of Death, you know, and defeat that person and then bring back that piece, the shard, back into the Elden Ring? Why is it that the children of Marika are fighting amongst each other, you know, in the civil war to become the next monarch of the lands between? Yeah. Okay guys, I guess that's it for today. Remember, if you want to check out the original video as well as VaatiVidya YouTube channel, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Remember, the links are in the description below. If you like my reaction, please give me a like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you want to be up to date with my latest videos, and I will see you guys next time. Okay, bye bye.